Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel here. And a lot of action this week. We are in the midpoint of February 2000. I'm not sorry. In 1985, 2005. No, I wish World Class was around in the 2000s, but not to be. Territories today, I think, would still be great. Anyhow, 1985, February 16th, World Class Championship Wrestling, and there's a lot of action here this week. Some debuts of guys that we see do better in other territories, a couple of surprising things along the way, and a return that plays into the future World Class, although we don't know how quite yet. But we open with a program from another or a feature from another program. Rip Oliver interrupts Billy Jack Haynes and lays out Billy Jack Haynes. Manages to blast Sunshine in the face in the process. Haynes goes down, and Sunshine goes with him. Oliver lays out the nature of Billy Jack Haynes with the shoulder breaker that he's been using for the last several weeks as a finish. And we actually later find out in the weeks to come that Haynes is going to be out of action for a while. This is a way to get Rip Oliver over, and I don't know that it works exactly the way they wanted it to, but it worked for a little bit here. Our first actual match of the week is Gino Hernandez against Tim Horner. Horner, a newcomer to the World Class area. Hernandez still holding on to the Texas Championship, and back and forth. Again, the announcers don't put over enough for my personal liking. The wins and losses of the championships. You can have a championship change and it not being acknowledged by the announcers on TV for weeks at a time, and that is kind of frustrating. Hernandez still just as cocky and brash as he has ever been, and I don't imagine that to change here. Obviously he's a staple at this point. Tim Horner, who has had some time in Georgia that's been decent by this point, who later is a fixture in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He does enhancement work for the WWF, has a run in the NWA for a while. Good amateur wrestler. Again, he's probably got a couple of years in the business at this point, and he is able to hang with Hernandez in a competitive, albeit showcase match for Hernandez. Hernandez, doesn't need to do a lot of fire back, a lot of back and forth. Good way to, if you're an independent wrestler listening to this, worth checking out just the way that Hernandez looks strong, but always gives Horner enough to make sure that he is a guy who looks strong in his debut on television here. The sidestep of a splash in the corner leads to a top rope elbow from Hernandez. Hernandez, a guy who doesn't have a really clear finish all the time, but this time uses a side Russian leg sweep, gets the victory, and he is looking good here. Interestingly, I do not remember Gary Hart in that position. Rip Oliver and Kelly Kiniski, interesting team. We've seen Oliver once in the program already with the attack from another location on Billy Haynes, but the Fantastics here are your tag team combatants for the team of Oliver and Kiniski. I think this is more a case of just wanting to get more out of Kiniski than average, maybe. I don't really know. But the Fantastics also a team that can get good matches out of everybody. Watching them, I actually, and this will make some people uncomfortable, but my personal opinion, the Fantastics, a better overall team unit than the Rock and Roll Express. I need to go back and watch Rock and Roll Express stuff, but from what I remember of the Express, and I've seen a really good fair bit of most of their stuff. At this point, I'm partial to the Fantastics just because they work together as a cohesive unit a bit more. I like teams that do the double team stuff. Tommy Rogers starts off. Oliver spends the first couple minutes in the ring, and then we go to Bobby Fulton. They break down things like arm bars and all that. Kaniski doesn't get in the ring for at least the first several minutes, and he finally does tag in. He's more I guess, maybe the power guy of the team. Also more technical, where Oliver, who predominantly is known for his Portland stuff, is a bit of a bruiser brawler type. Anyway, even after the tag to Kaniski, who again doesn't have as much attention for his tag work anyway. He's been picking up some singles victories over the last several weeks, but Bobby Fulton gets the arm drag and then immediately pulls his opponent into his corner. And just to me, that's so important. If the idea is we're trying to win a fight and you've got a ring that's 16 by 16, 14 by 14, 20 by 20, whatever it is, the idea is to cut that off. And also, recent and regular tags between the Fantastics. Of course, Fantastics former tag team champions here, having lost them to the Midnight Express a couple of weeks before. And they will trade them several times over their brief run here together. But anyway, Kaniski again using a little more power, a little more stubbornness. Bear hug that looks lethal, partially because Rogers is a smaller guy, and I think sometimes the use of a guy like Kaniski, who may be unimposing but is a little bit larger, and knowing power moves and knowing who should and shouldn't use them, also an important factor. Kaniski cuts the ring off on Tommy Rogers, and then we see Rip Oliver, coming at that a little stronger, coming at that a little more aggressively, and then several near falls and tag offs between those two. I mean, they get like 15 minutes out of a match that today people may consider, boring or whatever, but in the same vein, they're getting time out of something. Nobody gets hurt, and you're able to go home and do it again tomorrow and do it all 7 days of the week. Hot tag off to Fulton, and Fulton cleans house. Big back body drop, among other things, drop kick and the like. I missed the a few drop kicks and a backdrop type comebacks. Comebacks were so simple back in the day. You had maybe 4 or 5 moves you could use to fire up for a comeback, and then you hit a finish. Anyway, referee gets in the way, does not take a bump, but he's in the way during this. It's kind of funny to see. Double drop kick where only one of them really connects. The one from Bobby Fulton connects. The one from Tommy Rogers really doesn't, but that doesn't mean it's not sold a little bit. Trip from the outside by Rogers and a 1-2, or by Kaniski, and a 1-2, not by Kaniski, by Oliver. There we go. Kaniski is the one that's taking the pin, and that's there, and it looks like a victory, and indeed was for the two. But the baby faces continue the chaos post match, and they walk away happy and healthy. In any event, double drop kicks and the baby faces clear the ring. Then we move to the the interview before the main event, the return after a couple of years of Brian Adias, who's by this point been all over the world, according to Kerry Von Erich. They were childhood friends, and they've said, met each other 5, 6, 7 years old, whatever it is. Adias, glad to be back home, looking to be a champion in the area. Sunshine interferes a little bit, and Adias offers his assistance to her, says how beautiful she looks, and if she ever needs help, she can get help. Also speaks up for Carrie and says, in fact, that Carrie and the Von Erichs will help her as well now that Billy Jack Haynes is out of commission. We go to our main event. Chris Adams and Kerry Von Erich, the America's title on the line. And, they're given 12, 13 minutes here to do their thing. Adams still looks the best and that he's looked. Gary Hart still there. We see the various ring jackets of both men. Obviously, the Adams and Von Erich feud, notable for the last 6 months or so, probably a little longer, but this is here. Um, Gary had promised to get him championship matches, and in fact does. We actually see a bit more wrestling than average in this match. Kerry holds a front face lock and tries to turn the chancery, shoot the half, and that. Not what we normally see from Kerry, so credit to Chris Adams that he brings Kerry to the mat a little bit more than average, which is always cool to see when a guy is in there with someone that can help them expand. Adams, who breaks the match down, uses a sleeper hold, uses a choke hold, tries to get things going his way before pitching Kerry Von Erich to the outside of the ring. And he's not afraid to cheat and try to use knees and punches to get to get things going. They go outside the ring a couple of times. Um, the referee tries to break the match down. Kerry is more than ready when Adams gets back into the ring, and Adams always looks good. Actually misses a cross body and almost rolls out of the ring on the miss. Something like that, the high risk not paying off, a big deal. Kerry goes for the claw in the ropes. The referee tries to break that up. The claw, obviously, still all these years after the retirement of Fritz von Erich officially, a big deal. And Kerry doesn't get the claw on quite yet, but still we'll go back to it a couple times throughout the match. And um, you know, drop kick under the chin by Kerry. Kerry get a good fiery comeback. You got to remember, Kerry is less than a year here from being the world champion for the NWA World Champion for a month. So still a super hot talent, a super hot guy in terms of just his value there. Drop kick under the chin returned by Adams, and Adams is certainly willing to use whatever he needs to in order to get things going his way. They get tied up in the ropes. Gary Hart tries to interfere, and he doesn't get all he wants out of that. Gary, though, does come up onto the apron. Super kick by Adams from the inside with Kerry on the apron. The referee backs him off a bit, and Gary Hart uses a cowboy boot, blasts Kerry in the head with it, and a second super kick, this time in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, and 3. Your new America's champion is Chris Adams, and Gary Hart is overjoyed with that development here. That closes the midpoint of February in 1985 with probably the biggest accolade for Adams here in the area. But we'll be back with more right after this.